Hi everyone. Hello future. I'm Naeem. I'm based at Canterbury Christchurch University. I'm a plant biologist and I study how plants use their gene expression patterns to do all the wonderful things they do and also make lots of food and chemicals, medicines for all of us on this planet. Today I'm going to talk about something wonderful which plants do to produce all these foods. And what is that? I'm talking about flowering. Have you ever noticed, and I'm sure you have, that in early spring or summer months, you see the dazzling displays around you, and ultimately, those flowers where pollination takes place transform into seeds, and not only they pass on their genes from one generation to another, but during this process they produce seeds, and for crop plants that means lots of crop yield for us to feed our pets, animals and ourselves. So why flowering is so important? We all know that on this planet the weather patterns are changing and global warming is taking place. So plants are also confused when to flower because temperature can suddenly fall or they can go up. So how plants coordinate all these activities by using their internal cues, their gene expression patterns and other wonderful pathways and metabolism to coordinate all these activities. Let me give you an example. Behind me, this is the wheat field, and specifically it's winter wheat. So why we call it winter wheat? Winter wheat is sown usually in the late autumn season, and what happens then, these plants when they germinate, when they are very small, they must go through a period of cold exposure. That cold exposure is called vernalization. So why vernalization is important for flowering? Well, if you compare early spring or autumn temperatures, they are pretty much similar. Now imagine if plants start germinating in the autumn season and then the winter comes. That's not a very good idea. Why? Because plants can then flower in the autumn, and the winter frosts and cold temperature can literally destroy those floral structures. So they not only can pass on their genes to the next generation, but in terms of crops, that is disastrous. That means they cannot produce any food for us. Okay? So how plants do that? Under normal circumstances, for example, these wheat plants, they have a gene called flowering repressor C gene. Okay, so this gene is all the time working and doesn't allow plants to flower. Okay, and the plants must go through that cold exposure to switch off that gene. Okay, and that switching off takes place because that particular DNA fragment on a particular chromosome where that gene is sitting, so after cold exposure, that part of the DNA literally becomes jumbled up, just like a huddle, like in a rugby match. You must have noticed. Now imagine if your gene is that rugby and all that huddle is around. If you are the cell and wants to capture that information, it's very difficult for you. Okay, so what happens, that part of gene is no longer available because this gene is a repressor of flowering. So what happens, it's now switched off for the rest of that plant life. Okay, so this mechanism allows plant to not only understand that they have now gone through that winter period, and now when they reach those warming temperatures and longer days, they know that this is spring, this is not autumn. So they can differentiate and they understand that this is now the time to flower and produce more food for us. So they use all these fascinating molecular mechanism to do that. Okay, so I hope you learned something exciting about how plants can differentiate and flower at the right time. So see you next time. Until then, take care of yourself, keep learning, stay safe, stay happy, and stay well. Thank you very much.